I feel like a Raw wrestler on SmackDown right now.
You gotta give the like inch. You know what it is? It's the
You know what I mean? Like Raw and
yeah,
SmackDown.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Or
got you.
like a WWE wrestler on WCW or something like that.
Oh, you calling me the
I, I,
WCW
I knew
now?
that was a
Look.
bad example. Nah, nah, not good.
Oh. All
Not
right,
like that.
so
Not like that. Not
unfortunately,
like that.
Sick doesn't
Yeah.
have much time to chop it up, so that's his time. You know what I'm saying? I want to be respectful.
Bad analogy, my bad.
You're gonna be mine all night long.
So first off, I just want to let everybody know, just to get it first of all out there, that if you don't know who Real Sick is, I don't know, you're dumb. You're dumb, but you're not a battle fan. Like I've been a fan. I feel like somebody sent me clips early on, like maybe Eddie or I forget who.
Or Lex. Or maybe
Yeah, I want to say it was
Lex was
Eddie
heavy
just
on.
because
It was probably,
I
yeah.
talked to him so much, you know, in the iBattle connection. But I feel like the first real like battle I watched might have been XL. I might be wrong about that.
Dope.
I have like the worst memory, by the way. But you
No, that's
know,
cool.
Real Sick has battled. You know, if you don't know, XL, Loso, Eddie I, Mike P. And recently, is it your most recent battle, the partnering with B Dot for the 2-on-2 versus Arsenal and Kid
Kid
Chaos?
Chaos. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the most recent one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, my most recent single battle was the Mike P battle.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
And obviously there's actually a lot more battles than that. That's just to name a few.
Sheila Jones, B
Oh
Magic,
yeah, 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 that's right. And
Day the
those are on the
Nightwing.
app,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Yo,
Yep.
I
All
really
on the
want to
app.
see you in Nightwing, bro. I haven't seen that.
Bro, that battle is such a like I think it's gonna be looked back as like a staple in this whole Ultimate Madness series. Cause so we were the first battle ever in this whole Ultimate Madness series, this tournament thing. And then like we were the guinea pigs because they didn't have the voting system figured out. You know what I mean? It was the first like judged stream battle during COVID. You know what I mean? Like it
Right,
was
right.
there was so much shit around it that was just crazy, and the fact that we, you know, that battle ended up happening how it happened, and probably arguably the best battle of the whole first tournament.
I
You know what I
wouldn't
mean?
doubt it,
It felt
man.
like
I'm
it was crazy.
I really want to see that. Y'all two are like definitely two of my favorite, to come
Yeah,
out in the
and
last few years.
I appreciate that, bro. And the judging went exactly like you think. Two of the judges picked him, two picked me, and it went to the fan vote. Like that, it was such a
Uh,
crazy battle. But
yep. Yeah, night that was from like, 2.5 hours from me, where
mhm.
Portland and Seattle are like two hours apart. You know what I'm saying?
He has
So
one
there's
of the
a
best lines ever. He said, "You so trash. If I step on your foot, your mouth will open."
yo, I love the simple shit like that, bro.
That shit
Like
is so fire, bro.
that's
He's
one reason
crazy.
I'm such a fan of you guys is like,
Hmm.
you know, it's that you can tell there's not a fear of just like doing what you know is tight and not
Hmm.
necessarily trying to assimilate to the, you know, the to have the craziest pen and say
Right,
words
right.
wrong to make a
Yeah,
bar,
yeah,
a trash bar
right.
still trash, but fans like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That
Like,
I like that about our class the most, man. Every single one of us sound different. You know,
mm-hmm.
me, Kid Chaos, Jay the Nightwing, Easy the Block Captain, Lou Castro, Fonz, like all of us. None of us rap the same, and I think that's the reason it's standing out so much. Is over the past couple years, you kind of had like two guys that would stand out, and then everybody else would try to do what those two guys
Right.
did. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
then now, since everybody's so different, I think that's what's making it stand out. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy, bro. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
no, it
Whenever we
makes
look,
sense. And those are the ones that
yeah,
rise to the top. Like you got
hmm,
is people that are, you could feel like you guys believe in your shit and sometimes, like, even though we, like, as fans and shit, we're all fans first, like,
Right.
hear some shit and we feel like we're being sold, like, this is me battling and this is a good bar. Here it is,
Yeah.
where it's just
Right.
like there's certain people where, and I think it comes from exactly what you just said, where I'm dope and this is what I'm gonna give you because I know
Yeah,
this shit is tight,
yeah.
and there's something to be said for
Facts.
that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like those, like, real simple bars, or like saying something that's just to the
It
point
just needs
and
to be
just needs
said.
to be said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Recently in the interview, I like skimmed through it leading up to this, but I seen on My Expert Opinion, you said, I think it was in regards to, who was it? What battle was it? Kid Chaos versus JC that you're talking about, where you're saying basically, like, your preference is battlers who break down their opponent. Like, this is
Yeah.
about you unmistakably, like, character assassination shit. And all of your shit's like that. And I definitely have similar taste for that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I feel like if you're not direct, it's a cipher. Like, if you're just up there, like, just saying random those are good to be, sprinkled in there, especially, like, for, like, a first round, like, you're building trust with the fans that you're
Right.
dope. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
sprinkle some of them in there, but, like, by the second and third, you kind of, at least I like to be talking about something. You know what I mean? Like, I like to say something to my opponent that, even if a topic has been brought up like that similarly, like, maybe I'm putting another spin on it, or, like you said, just saying the thing, like, just
Yeah.
saying like, I didn't get reaction when I told Mike P, like, in real life he says motherfucker, but then when he raps he says motherfucker. Like, there was no reaction for that, but it's just a simple, you're changing the way you talk.
Right.
Like, and I'm noticing, like something like that. I remember watching you and Lush on Ruin Your Day. I think it's the first battle I got on the watch, and then I was battling the Spade kid. Shout out to Spade, and he had that nerd gimmick, and I was like, I just said, it doesn't matter if you could switch from a nerd to a bully if both versions are pussy. Not a punchline, not a double entendre, and that's one of the things you
Right.
guys said. Like, just saying the thing. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, and I am definitely a fan of that, and sometimes, like, it could be a detriment in my own writing of, like, but ultimately I'm just like, there's been so many times writing where I'm like, man, I really want to say this,
Yeah.
and it's part of this larger point, but I feel like it's not going to get reaction. But
I still
fuck that.
I still go through that.
Fuck
Yeah.
that. Like, and a lot of times it also use those things of just saying the thing to paint a larger picture. So, like, even if it's something that someone has touched on, some angle that's been used, right? You take that same information and make it a chapter in this overall picture being painted. It's not just about you pronouncing the word wrong. It fits into this larger character assassination that I'm painting, right? It's one stroke in this overall piece, a picture of you that I'm painting,
Yeah, because, like, that's the separation between, like, just rapping and battle rapping. To me, it's like, when you're rapping, it's more of a reflection of yourself. So when you're battling, the topic is your opponent. So you should be, instead of just, hypothetically threatening them, you should be saying something to them. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Yeah, and that probably definitely comes from watching people like you, Thesaurus. I was at the iBattle event yesterday, and Thesaurus battled City Towers.
Oh,
I was
shit.
lit, so I was probably on my fan. Yo, I've been watching you since I was lit, right? But, like, but it's the same thing. You and Thesaurus. I watched you guys for the first time right when I got introduced to what a multi-syllable rhyme was, right? So I'm in, like, 8th grade,
I don't
right?
know what that
And
is.
I'm like, and I thought it was just, like, the last two syllables.
Right.
And then I'm hearing you motherfuckers rhyme the entire sentence and shit like that. Like,
Right.
I remember when you battled Diz and you had the shit about the ship in a bottle. aficionado. I noticed that first, but then I noticed, oh shit, he's doing the thing in the middle too. Like same thing
Oh,
with
the like
thesaurus.
ABBA type
Yeah,
rhyme.
like I didn't know there was another level. You know what I mean? So like hearing you guys, hearing Crooked Eye, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah,
Hearing
yeah,
like Tech
crook.
Nine, like people like that, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
Tech
holy
has
shit.
crazy
Like,
patterns too, like that, man.
yeah,
Like I used to bump Tech like when I was younger a lot, and he's
yeah,
famous for that like ABBA like
hmm
shit, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
know has those big vocals to where it really pronounce like he'll have a million layers on it, so it really comes out,
yeah,
and that's something I
yeah,
definitely that even drew me at that time, you know, to
yeah.
somebody like Tech.
But like you guys were definitely a pivotal part in like me like seeing that. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, there's a and it like a lot of them weren't forced. Like I knew there was
Right.
something wrong with just filling in the syllable count with like
Yeah.
random words versus actually making it make sense. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah, yeah, that's something
yeah,
you know, people who came after or tried to mimic, like it's like with
yeah,
any style, not even just the, you know, multi-syllable lyrical shit, like even with like
hmm
scheming or with
yeah,
any
yeah,
sort of popular approach, there's
hmm
a wave of a million people who come in and just butcher it and then down there spoil it
so
for
bad.
the people who do it well. You know what I
Yeah, yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like
Right, right.
thesaurus definitely to me, like for me I was just really influenced by like the west coast, like fresh coast. I mean when I
hmm
was young it's like east coast rap, but then like
hmm
battle rap I was really influenced by, you know, the fresh coast, the no can do's, the francos,
hmm
later on awkwards, later on thesaurus and
hmm
borat and all these folks, and that was like just standard, you know what I mean? And I think it even
Yeah.
kind of played into like the scribble jam run that I
hmm
had in '04, because it was like this thing where it wasn't just a B thing. It was like, oh, he's stacking like 5 rhymes in a bar or
Yeah,
whatever
off
it
the
is,
top.
you know what I mean?
Crazy,
So
crazy.
I definitely feel you, but I definitely credit it to like my fresh coast influences, and also like I said, like Cool
Yeah,
G rap, you know what I'm saying,
amazing.
Rakim, all that shit, Big Pun.
Yep, yep,
um
yep.
what Thesaurus did in battle rap terms was he took, instead of it just being like, yo, something blazing L and you look like a crackhead Dave Chappelle, instead of that it was a
Yeah.
descriptive rhyme before, either before or after the Dave Chappelle
Making the
something.
punch rhyme with the rhyme,
Yeah,
right? Like the
yeah.
like we what he say that we understand you're faking. You're from a land that's vagrant. We're fucking camel racing known as public transportation. He did the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
but the
think
source
that's
be
the
like
first thesaurus shit.
Shakespearean with it sometimes. Like his battle against me, I'm like, oh my, there's this part that I always like randomly get stuck in my head, and it's just like
hmm
55 syllables in a row, just like nothing
Yeah,
doesing rhyme, like
yeah,
just
yeah,
back
yeah.
to back to back, and I'm like, what?
His whole
Like, how did you
first his
write
whole
that?
first against you, I think, was like that. Where
Mm-hmm.
like everything rhymed. Like
Yeah.
that battle was crazy too. Like that was a moment for me in eighth grade, I think, or ninth grade, whenever that was. Because I was probably I'd always watched battle rap since Smack DVDs, right? But like I didn't know about WRCs and Scribble Jam and
Mm-hmm.
I knew about Fight Club, but I didn't know. So there was like a couple years where I didn't know where battle rap had went, and I came back to see Grind Time, right?
Yeah.
And then URL was like a year after I saw Grind Time, but I remember just I would just watch everybody, like even from you to unorthodox phrases to pariah, like
Mm-hmm.
the dude that battled what was his name, Rugged, that dude was crazy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
just I was
Rugged
just
was
watching
crazy.
everything.
Mm-hmm.
So then when I found like the top guys, you, Thesaurus, Diz, all of them, and then you guys battled, I was that shit was crazy to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think I still know like your first eight for the second with the album of mine, 2009. That shit, I think I still know that. Like, yo, that shit is crazy. But
Hey, good
I think
looks.
that the since to bring it back to the style, the direct shit we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about, I think that my style, along with listening to G Rap, Big L, Big Pun, Crooked, all of them, Also listening to the Fresh Coast shit and the Smack DVD shit and Don't Flop and URL and fucking like all the like everything, you know what I mean? And kind of noticing that's why when I went out to London I knew what to do because
Right.
I'm a fan of the scene, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I liked including all of those and battling an I battle is gonna make you like it's probably the most diverse talent pool
Right.
in battle rap. Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
Lex will put like a gun bar rapper and a fucking jokester up against each other. Like, let's see what
Right.
happens.
Yeah,
You
let's
know what I
just
mean?
stand back and see. Shout out
Yeah,
to
he's
Lex too
crazy.
and I battle. Like
Yeah.
I really fuck with, and really like trying to just bring out the best talent. And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like certain, it's easy from like a league owner or whatever's perspective to almost get possessive over talent that you might have like
Yeah.
put on, you know what I'm saying? But like
Right, right,
you can
right.
really tell Lex is a fan and tries to do right and what's best for like the talent overall, you know what I mean? And that shit's like
Yeah,
real respectable. It's really dope.
there's a reason he had the most picks for the Crucible to go through. There's a reason for that, and I think he was by like a landslide. Like the other guys had maybe, I think 2 picks, and he got like 6 or 8 through. Like there's a reason. The shit people were doing when the Crucible first started, like watching new battle rappers footage, and Lex was doing that before that. Just randomly a battle with fucking 27 views, just
Mm-hmm.
clicking on it and trying to find people. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, shout out. He had a great event last night too. Thesaurus and City Towers. It was a crazy
Did it
battle. First time seeing him.
was Eddie and Chef on that, or am I
No,
tripping?
no, no. That one is at the end of this
Oh,
month.
okay,
I
okay,
think. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
I know it's
Eddie
like
was
upcoming.
there. But yeah, it was Thesaurus and City Towers, Mad Flex and XQZ.
That's right.
That was a dope ass battle. XL and A Ward. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that event was crazy. I
Yeah,
was just there last night. So
he posted like a screenshot of somebody being like XL clearly 30 they word and all this shit, and so I just had to
yeah.
drop a comment like, hey man, welcome to the club, here's the secret handshake. I've been expecting you. You know what I'm saying?
I told A Ward, I told him he has to let me welcome him to the URL whenever he comes over. I was
Mm,
like, let me do the, you know what I mean? Let me welcome you in
that'd
because
be crazy.
it's overdue, man. His resume is crazy. He's battled fucking
I
everybody.
think he'd kill it. I think he'd kill it over
Yeah,
there.
me
Like
too, me
his
too.
style, his performance,
Hmm.
and he's a really good performer and has
Yeah.
great projection and delivery. I think with his whole shit would definitely pop off over there,
Hmm.
and so
Yeah.
definitely is overdue. It makes complete sense. Um,
Yeah.
that like so, I don't know if these are directly correlated. We're talking about like, I battle and farming talent. Is that sort of like what do you think is like the sort of, because you're everywhere now, everyone is like, yo, the new wave, like was there a
Hmm.
direct like catalyst moment that you can identify or like thought about or realized even at the time, like, okay, this is like what it took to sort of get me noticed?
Um. Well, I came in on UW, so that was like 2015. I was like 20 years old. But they had a tournament too, and I won the tournament. But it was like they weren't as consistent.
Yeah.
So from 2015 to 2018, I battled probably twice a year. You know what I mean? 3 times a year. I wasn't taking it like maybe their lack of consistency didn't really have me, thinking anything could happen from it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was just there, just battling. You know what I mean? And then Lex hit me up in 2019, and he was like, "Why aren't you famous yet?" And I was like I don't know. He was like, "You just got to be more consistent." So I think that was the moment where I was like, "All right, let's see what happens." And he was like, "We'll give you a 1 rounder. If you do good, we'll give you a 3 rounder. If you do good, we'll give you a name." Because I already had maybe 7, 8 battles under my belt. I think I just battled Dre Dennis or something like that, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
I got a 1 rounder versus this guy named Mr. Hyde. Obliterated him. It was so bad they had to put my round first on the footage, even though I went second in the building.
Because they're like, we
Like
want
they had
people
to,
to watch.
yeah,
Damn.
yeah. And then I had a
Even
three
that
rounder.
again is smart move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
See,
that.
Lex knows. Lex knows what he's doing, man. He
Mm-hmm.
knows. Then I had a 3 rounder versus this guy named Sean O'Shawn. That was crazy. And then that's when the Excel battle happened. And then my battle with Excel is what got me the URL call and the overseas call. So
Right.
3 battles into iBattle when I started taking being more consistent, 3 battles in, you know what I mean? Stuff started happening. So and you know, it's like you said, Lex is very he knows like he can if he sees talent and he sees potential, he's gonna keep, you know, trying to grow it and try to get it seen. And he
Right.
knows exactly what to do. He knows the game, bro.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
very true. We're talking about we've had some recent conversations, you know what I mean? Nothing official, but yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely try to keep him in the loop and vice versa. You know what I mean? Keep an
Mm-hmm.
open line. I fuck with Lex. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I remember seeing you talk about, or maybe it's just like through the grapevine, hearing like you were saying, you write a 16 a day to stay sharp.
Yeah, yeah. So the idea is it's
You
not
didn't write one
exactly
today.
16. I do it at the end of my day.
Oh, okay,
So I
okay,
can I can
okay.
show up my I'm streaming on my phone, but
Yeah, yeah.
what I do is the idea is it's not exactly 16. That's just the minimum.
Mm-hmm.
So like days where so like as I'm going through my day, somebody could just say, you know, help wanted sign, and I'll think of like a perfect rhyme and I'll be like, "Oh shit, I'll just write that down."
Mm-hmm.
Or like somebody will say a phrase, "Yo, that was uncalled for." I'm using the ones I heard today, and I'll just write down uncalled for. I'll think it's and I'll just and then at the end of my day, I'll just try to make a verse out of it or something. And then some days, you know, it's not like it's always fire. Like some
Right.
days I'm just not feeling it. I didn't think of anything, so I just write about my day or something. Like, and
Right.
I never look at that verse again. It's
Yeah.
just it's like it's a muscle. Your brain is a muscle. Rhyming and rapping is a muscle. So I try to, you know, I try to keep it sharp. So yeah, there's probably some days I don't. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll write 8 and get tired or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And then there's other days I just end up writing 80 fucking bars. You
Right.
know what I mean? So like, yeah, I do that to stay sharp and because, you know, I think doing shit like that also is the reason why I could come up with shit like this. So me and Kid Chaos had 2 weeks, and we had a top 5 battle on caffeine last year,
That's crazy.
voted by caffeine. Me and Chilla had 2 weeks, and we had people said top 10 battle of the year. I wrote my shit for B Magic like the week before. Like I wrote the 2-on-2 shit that me and B Dot did. We wrote that in the span of 3 days because he needs more time to memorize. So like so I can write stuff really quick, and I think that's because it's just this state of fucking lyricalness. You know what I mean?
Of
Yeah, you're
lyricality.
just yeah, lyricality. You're just in a state all the time like that,
Right.
and or at least I try to be. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So the goal is that, and I think any rapper, bro, it's your 20th 16 is gonna be better than your first. So you
Yeah.
might as well, you know what I mean, write whether it's in your phone, whether you I like to sit down and write, but I'm not always doing that. You know what I mean? Because you know laziness or whatever. You know what I mean? But like I try to always do that, and I think that I always looked at rapping like that. Battle rapping for the longest time was just repetition for me because the formula was simple. And then I was like, I felt like anytime I just think of something like or I write it in my phone, I feel like I'm cheating myself out of how good it can actually be because I'm used to sitting down and writing. You know what I mean? So like I always feel like if I do that, that's the best version of whatever I'm thinking of. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't know if it's the process. I don't know if I can see if the canvas is bigger. You know, I don't know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but like that's
Well, it's like
how.
repetition too, you know? And I
Yeah,
think what's really important about that too, like you said, some of them you'll never see again or whatever, but
yeah,
even outside of the actual, you know, mental exercise of writing the rhymes and having sort of like a rhyme, like word bank and all these things, like
yeah,
you're sending yourself a a message, like on a subconscious level of like,
Yeah.
you're willing to put the work in, you're willing to do the
Yeah.
thing, even if you're not inspired, like you're doing this. And like that
Yeah.
sends, you know, messages to our psyche of like, and
Yeah.
affirms, you know, sort of like our confidence in our place in this. And I think like you're saying that even on the subconscious level, like keeps us open. It keeps that creative window open. It's like, you know, the window isn't sealed closed with paint, you know what I mean? I just opened it
Yeah.
today. Like this, we
Yeah.
got the airflow in there, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's something about also even like tapping into the collective, you know, tapping into the
Yeah.
collective consciousness, like
Yep.
when you are in tune with that. It's like, there's one thing also I want to say too that's a crazy coincidence about how you described it. But me, even with like, right, like songs, right, like the last little bit we've been working on projects, which is funny because I've been making less songs because I have such a reservoir. Like I don't want to like make a million, then I'm not going to be able to. But there's this like 4-year period in between projects where we're making multiple songs a day. You know what I mean? And a lot of those songs didn't ever see the light of day. But what they did do is say, now when I turn on a beat, it's like I can pull a starting point. Like, oh, I always liked that one thing from that verse that I didn't use, and now all of a sudden I refashion it to this whole new vision that I didn't.
You got
even
ammo.
Yeah,
It's ammunition. That's how I look at it.
And it's not like just to be recycled. It's like it could open up, like one line could make a whole song and concept, and you can take from that, you know.
Yep.
And another thing that struck me, like of you describing that, like going through your day, hearing a phrase or words and sort of just thinking of a rhyme and doing that. A long time ago, when I was first coming up, you know, like Awkward's being a big name. That's why I'm saying like Fresh Coast being a big influence. Like I used to talk to this fool on AIM. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yeah.
Like
I just made it to the AIM like era.
So I used to talk to this fool on AIM, and this fool is one of the craziest freestylers. Like just get him in a cipher, and it's like we all have certain like words we fall back on and phrases, and we might add different rhymes into it, but it's like there's sort of like a general, you know, thing that we fall into. And this fool always amazed me because he would come up with the craziest shit. Like I remember freestyling with him at my homie's crib in like Vancouver, Washington, on a balcony. Like this fool had a crazy crib or whatever, but he was like, something I'll swan dive off the balcony, something balcony 1,000 feet and grow a pair of falcon wings. And I'm like, yo, this is happening here. Like he didn't have that, like that. And I wouldn't think to falcon wings, like,
that's crazy.
You know, and I'd probably come up with like battle me, something maybe like alchemy, like on the spot. Cause that was like in the middle of his shit. And there's another quote is something about like something I'm the Terminator, surgeon your circuit breakers, something fuck your bitch with a turkey baster or whatever. And I'm like, circuit breaker, turkey baster, what? And I asked him like, how do you come up with these crazy things? And he said almost the same exact thing you did. He's like, bro, when I go through my day, it's like I'm always cataloging rhymes in my head. You know what I mean? I see a turkey baster and I automatically think what rhymes with that. And he's like, and it's just kind of sitting back there, you know? So then when you're in that kind of flow state, it's easier to access it. And it's like similar in the way of like with the writing process and you writing a 16 a day. And it's like the way you explained it is almost the exact same. That's why.
Yeah, it's either like a rhyme or like finding that perfect rhyme is always like it's like figuring out a puzzle, right? It's that or hearing something that you could make as a double entendre, right? So like those are the two things that will make me write something down. Or like shit, like if it like sometimes I might just be talking and I accidentally rhyme with something. Or like I'll be listening to a podcast and Joe Rogan just rhymed without knowing, and I'm like, oh shit, like that. Like you're like I try to always notice, and I'm pretty sure I still miss a couple things on days where I'm like super busy or whatever. But yeah, it's like I said, the state of just lyrical fitness, right? As corny as it sounds, that's basically what it is. You know what I mean?
Man. Everybody.
I don't ever want like if I if I don't get a goal completed that has to do with it, I don't ever want the reason to be that I didn't do what I could do. You know what I mean? Or
Right.
like I wasn't in the proper shape. Like for example, the last 2-on-2, they gave the votes to Arsenal and Kid Chaos, and I knew why. Like I don't ever want to be in that position and be confused. Like why did this happen? I knew why. We spent 3 days on the material. You know what I mean? Like we should have had more energy. Like
Mm-hmm.
I knew exactly why. I wanted to punch more, but we had more like just rhymes. Cause me and B Dot just wanted to be like the best writers on the card because it was in a small room. So we thought the criteria was the same as a battle. So now we're in a 2-on-2 taking angles and shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
When all people want to see is the dunks and the spin moves and shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
like so we got our goal completed, which was, like a collaboration of our styles. But like, I know exactly why on the spot they gave it to them because they were
Mm-hmm.
louder, more energy, more like this, and we're over here like with this like masterpiece fucking written and shit. And it's
Like
not like,
rhyming off of like
yeah,
scrolls. Like,
yeah. So
like,
like he ended with memory jogging, and then I come now. Kid is the target since it was August, and I do a whole thing with that. Like that's what we were doing more so than like punching. But my point is, 3 weeks before that, I battled Mike P. And if you look at my rounds with him, I got haymakers and bombs in
right.
those. You know
Right.
what I mean? So like, I know what to do. So me staying in this state right when that happened, and I heard that, I was like, all right, I know exactly why. I always want to know, and if I don't know, that's a time for me to learn. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But like,
Mm-hmm.
I like to know, identify, like, all right, that's the reason why. You know
I
what I mean?
learn
So.
from my L's more than my dub. I try to learn from every battle I've done. You know, like
Mhm.
I'm my own biggest critic, and whether it's win or lose, I'm like
Yeah.
looking at what I could have did better. You know, there's
Yep.
battles that people always bring up, like, oh, this is one of your best, da 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 da, and then I can like look at it and be like, I hate that I drew that line out or
Bro.
overpronounced the rhyme and
It's
didn't just deliver it how I practiced, or I hate that I did that. Noted,
yeah.
don't do that in the future. You know what I mean? But
There's certain
especially the
parts.
L's. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like,
There's
okay,
certain parts of like my battles, even like my best perform, my Chilla battle, my Magic battle, my Mike battle, that like when I'll watch them back and I'll skip over like 16 bars or something like that, just because I remember not liking how I said it.
mm-hmm.
And that might end up getting quoted to me on Twitter by somebody that watched
Yeah,
it. Like,
clips
yo,
being
when
made,
you
and
said,
it's like, oh,
yeah, I'm just like, oh my God.
yeah,
So like there's every battle that I've had, if I watch it back, I know exactly what part I'm comfortable watching at
yeah,
that
yeah.
moment. You know what I mean?
Same. There's
I'll
so
watch the
many.
fuck up part,
Yeah,
but like I'll make a mental note of it and
and
not do it
then I
again.
want
But
to.
now I'm
Yeah,
not watching it. Yeah.
yeah.
So
No, there's so many battles where it's like, that's not how that whole chunk was supposed to flow. I realized that
hmm
the dynamic of that whole chunk was to sound good, but then when I was in the
hmm
moment and that adrenaline and who knows whatever else in the atmosphere or interruptions or whatever, like it broke the magic that made it, and I like
yeah.
slowed down in this part or yelled this part when I should have said
Yeah.
it calmly, and I'm like, okay, I can't watch that now because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
when I
Yeah. Yeah.
practiced it, it was fire.
It was
You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
right.
then I can't watch it because it just doesn't come off. But that also is what
Mhm.
separates, I think, a lot of battlers. Like there's a lot of, people who won't accept that they lost legitimately or be like, yeah, whatever, and kind of write off excuses. But I think the best artists, let alone battlers,
Mhm.
will like learn from that and like pick it apart and be like, okay, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do this again, and that's
Right.
something
Right. Right.
I definitely try to do. Is like I can remember certain turning points in my like style evolution or career, whereas like a lot of them were losses. Like, okay, I'm not doing that again. You know what I'm saying?
Right. 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 Yeah.
100%.
I feel you, bro.
Yeah, it's that I think that's a really good trait to have, man. Somebody, well, okay, before I ask, like I had a question from Twitter, but before I even get into that, uh
hmm
is there any like what do you got going this year? Like what do you have like a do you okay coming back from that, because I know there's like
Uh-huh.
announcements, like do you have certain battle related, like goals of like, okay, by this year I'm trying to headline, or you know, whether it be short term, long term, small goal, big goal? Is there like, do you set sort of benchmarks for yourself?
Yeah, I do. But I think with battle rap, I'm never viewing battle rap as the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mean I'm starting to see the kind of reach that I have, and I'm starting to see like, you know, I started as just making music, you know what I mean? And that's what, now I have a bunch of resources that I can use to get shows to perform live when shit opens up. You know what I mean? Because let's say I could use my social media following. Granted, it's only like 10K right now. I could use that to perform and sharpen that sword. You know, I always wanted to do every single part of the art of rap. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know. That's why I was battle rapping. I was battle rapping since ninth grade or something. But like I wanted to do every single thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I even make beats, and I'm decent at beats. I'm not. I make some whack shit sometimes with beats, but like just
Hey,
everything that
not the real
involves
Sick
like,
versus Cassidy beat battle on URL.
oh, they're better than Cassidy. They're better than Cassidy beats. Yeah, I just don't know how to like tune 808s and shit like that yet. But like I
Right.
could make an alright beat. Um,
That's fire.
but yeah, just everything that has to do. I mean, I mix my own shit. Like I'm learning how to engineer a little bit. I like to do everything. So battle rap is just one section for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, I'm gonna be releasing something. I mean, I just launched my merch site, realsickstore.com, with this
Yep.
design.
Yeah.
Um,
There's
my
shirts and
brother
masks, right?
had,
And
yeah,
hoodies.
shirts, masks, hoodies. We're
Man, I
gonna
made
keep
a
adding stuff.
command, but it's not working for some reason. But I made a command that was like exclamation mark real sick, and then it like dropped the store link in the chat. But I don't know.
Okay,
Technology, I'm
yeah,
being defeated 30 by right now. You know what I mean?
yeah. So I want to evolve anytime I drop a new design or like new merch, new different things with the logo on it. I want to drop like a song with it or a freestyle with it, or you know, I want to release a project by the end of the summer. Um, I just want to keep it in everybody's minds that I do everything. I don't want to be boxed into one thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not the end all be all as far as goals here. I mean, Smack personally told me that I reserved a spot at Gnome with my Mike P performance. So if I get
Let's
on Gnome this
go.
year, that would be crazy. I mean, a year in, last year I battled Jay the Nightwing, and now, you know, me versus Mike was a main event. I main evented a caffeine event. You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
fucking, that was the first battle I had that was anticipated. I felt like I saw the comments leading up to, before that, I didn't know what that felt like, having a battle that was anticipated, where you got all these predictions going up and like,
Right.
you know what I
Yeah. The
mean? People like, and
blogs and.
people are watching it live, you know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm trying to win that too, along with the watch back, you know what I mean? So like
Right.
I learned a lot from that too. So just every battle I'm trying to make it better than the last. You know what I mean? And I
Mm-hmm.
like, as corny as that might sound or cliche, that's what I'm trying to do. I think my performance versus Mike P was better than my performance versus Chilla. And then my Chilla performance, I think, was better than my Jada Nightwing performance, and you know, so on. So I'm trying to, you know, I sent them the list, a couple people that you know, the fans said they want to see me battle. They're all agreeing with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I want to Yeah, I battle. If I get that spot, it'll be crazy. Like a year in to get that, that's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
can't wait till the crowds come back because I want to show people I know what to do there too. You know what I mean?
Right,
So
right. Yeah, do
I
you
can't
think
I
there's
can't
an
wait for that.
element of like people who might, well, like, okay, he's doing well with no crowds. He's a pen guy. Like, I feel like certain
Yeah,
styles have like carry a stigma. Like, I'm kind of in that same
yeah,
boat. You know what I mean? Of
uh
like
huh,
people like, but can he control that room? That you are in a
yeah,
room. Like, just wait, everything's gonna
yeah.
switch. Like, have you heard that?
Oh
Those.
yeah, 100%. Everybody thinks my whole class is only surviving because there's no crowds. Like they
Mm,
don't. I think they're crediting the environment instead of our ability to adjust. Nobody is looking at our adjustment. They're looking at, all right, granted, we didn't rock 1,500 people before, but like we are used to performing and getting cut off from reactions. So when this COVID era started, we had to kind of adjust the other way too. So then whenever these crowds come back, we're gonna adjust again. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
doing things in this small room I know I can't do on the stage. You think if I'm on a stage, I'm gonna carry a multi for 16 bars, like without a punchline? No. But
Right.
I know I could do it in this room, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
do it. You know what I mean? Like when I'm on a stage, I know there's certain things I'm doing in this small room that I can't do, on a stage. I know a stage is more of a show. I went to London in front of, and I know it's a different than a URL crowd or whatever, but like it's still a big stage. And I went in there in front of a crowd that didn't know me, in front of my first time in another fucking country. And when my performance versus Maverick, the fans voted that was the best international performance that year.
That's
And I think I
crazy.
was like, there was a lot of great performances that year too. You know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
that was my first time up there, and I knew what to do. So I think when I'm all we could do is show people
Yeah.
because the goalpost is gonna keep getting moved.
Eh,
First, it was we don't know if they could hang. We killed the rookies and vet shit. We got the winning record.
well,
Now it's I don't know if they could rock a big stage.
here's why it
We do
doesn't make
that, then
sense
it's
to
gonna
me though. Like
go ahead.
if
Yeah,
you're rookies versus vets, and they're saying, well, let's see if you could control a crowd. Okay, but you
yeah,
got these vets. You would think they'd be able to adjust the experienced ones, the
yeah,
veterans, to adjust to no crowd. So how is the
yeah.
rookies beating y'all at this game? It really seems to me that it shows more of almost a chink in the armor of the vets more
Hundred
so
percent.
than, well, let's hypothetically see if they can rock a room. Well, if they're beating you without a room, then that's already,
Then
they're
what
up
does that
1-0.
say?
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
like that. If a small room is easier, then why are you guys not looking like gods over here? Why is it's
exactly.
just the playing field is even now.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The
Yeah.
old rookies versus vets, you had this vet that, in front of a crowd of 1,500 where most of these people, they buy tickets. They're looking at these vets like they're fans of these vets versus this poor rookie who hasn't controlled more than 100 room people
Right.
into a venue with 1,500 people of his opponent and his friends, and he got to control that room. You know what I mean? That's a little different than now. The it's an even level playing field. Now it's just me and you. Who's better? Who comes up with
Yeah.
better shit? Who is the better man that night? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't get us wrong. We're not saying the big stage is super easy, but we're saying that look at our ability to adjust. If
Mm-hmm.
we can adjust to this, we're gonna be able to adjust to that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's the rappers, it's this class. It's not the environment. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like I was saying, it's gonna keep getting moved. When we do rock a stage, the next thing is gonna be, oh, we only saw it once. We don't know if they could
Yeah,
do it again.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's gonna
And
just
then when you
keep
do it again, it's like,
getting
well,
moved.
that fool was falling off, or yeah,
And
but
then and
that
then
opponent wasn't
yeah.
good enough, like,
and
or,
then one more, they're gonna fucking put us in that box. Like, can he do a small room again? I don't
right,
know. He
yeah,
did
the
three big
memory,
rooms. Like,
the goldfish memory span of battle rap fans for
yeah,
sure.
man, that shit is crazy. That
Yeah,
shit is crazy.
and it's not like they're they're different, but like one's not harder. Like you can argue
Yeah, right.
difficulty on both sides. Like, okay, yeah, rocking and dealing with an unruly crowd and all these things that can be difficult. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when you don't have none of that, you ain't got any gas, you don't, and it's
Hmm.
just your words. It's just me and
That's
you
it.
here, and that's all that people are gonna
Hmm.
see, and they're judging us off that.
Yeah.
That's a whole different, like, you could
It.
argue that
Yeah.
that's more difficult. You know what I mean?
I think it is for people that have gotten used to rocking a big stage. It is more difficult because, like I said, you're used to going into a room. You got fans. You got
Mm-hmm.
people that are there just to see you. Versus, so like the energy that's created in the battle is with the crowd. The
Mm-hmm.
crowd likes participating. It's
Yeah.
you. It's the crowd. It's the all of that stuff. Now, when it's a small room, there's 10 people in the room. The energy in that room is not. There's no assist. It's just you now. Now you got to create the energy. You got to control the pace of the battle. It's all on you. It's more on you, I think, in this small room, which, like I said, you could argue is harder than having a crowd there that wants to participate. So now you got this fucking 8-bar slogan that they can say with you. Now they feel like they're part of the battle. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. There's a lot of
for
moments. My bad. Go ahead.
yeah. No, I was just gonna say, for somebody that's used to that, that's why, like, when a lot of these big stage guys, started rapping, and even if they didn't start as big stage guys, but they started rapping in these small environments, people can hear you heavily breathe every 2 bars. So now you said 2 bars, and there's no fluidity in your fucking rounds anymore. You know what I mean? And then, like, people are slowly
You were
learning,
getting
oh
those
shit.
breaks before.
Yeah, because you're used to landing something and stopping, taking water. Now you landed it, but it's 10 people. So it's just,
You gotta
and
move.
that's it. Now you
Yeah.
gotta keep going.
Yeah.
You can't stop, take your water, nothing. You know what I mean? It was interesting to see. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I like, you brought up the Mike P battle, and I actually really wanted to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? I got a million notes here too, but I'm like, okay, before we have to talk about this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Of course.
In the third round, and I wrote some of this down, but you had that crazy comparison where you're talking about, Mike P's sort of like involvement in battle rap and wanting to be accepted and all these things, and then you switch. It's like it's like this because you don't see it coming, and that's what makes it so crazy. And then you transition in to talk about what's going on in India, and it all kind of culminates to, like, I'm putting on for an entire culture, like you're just trying to get accepted by one.
Yeah.
And that, even watching it, like, I seen the clips, I'm like, oh my God. But in a big room, and there's hella moments like this where you do say shit, and in that small room, it's like, hey, and it looks great. But in a big room, like, it would have been like 5 minutes of like pandemonium. You know what I'm saying? The way that you executed the comparisons and that build up, like when I first saw those clips come out, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, like this is
appreciate that, bro.
That's like, when you see shit from other battles where you're like, you kind of egotistically think like, man, that's some shit I'd write. Not on some like they're biting shit, but like that's some shit I would want to write 100%. Or like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when I first seen that, I was like, yo, that's some shit that I would like hopefully do. That I would want, I would profess to do. You know what I mean? The angle, the execution, 100%. And I just thought that was masterful. You know what I mean? That whole battle, like you can see you had different approaches. Each battle touched on some things that have been talked about, but again, made it part of a larger story and put your unique spin on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I actually also wanted to just kind of shed a light, like, if I'm not mistaken, like you're talking about like the farmers' protests in India and all the stuff going on with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, one of the main reasons Sikh is in my name is because, growing up in America, people didn't really know the difference between, Sikh, Muslim, Hindu, Indian, Arabic, Egyptian. They kind of like put us all into one box, right? So I feel like my people are very distinguishable, with the turban and the beard and all. But I think that people kind of get it confused because like the the part where we're from, that whole South Asian part, like the turban is like Tim's in New York, where like, everybody will wear them. But like outside of them, when you're in multicultural societies like the UK, America, Australia, whatever, and you see somebody like with the turban and the beard or like the bracelet, right? Like they're Sikh. So I never felt like I had any representation, right? So one of the main reasons I put Sikh in my name was because of that. So whenever there's more, the idea was to get big and known, so then the other Sikhs don't really have to go through what I went through, right? So whenever there's something going on, I feel like that's hip hop. You're supposed to talk about it. Like, I'm not gonna, especially if Sikh is in my name, I'm not gonna not talk about the shit going on when my people are getting fucking killed. You know what I mean? And mistreated, and the women are being mistreated too and assaulted, and like all this crazy shit that's going on over there. I think when you're born into like an immigrant household, you kind of realize how good you have it. You know what I mean? And so yeah, just hearing all the shit that was going on over there, I had to say something about it,
Mm-hmm.
and due to the media suppression that the government was doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now I'm live. You can't stop what I'm about to
Right.
say. You know what I mean? And that was the most important part of the battle to me. I was gonna do it no matter what. I just found out a way to tie it to Mike P because I think like he was just talking in rap terms, and he was like, you're gonna have no identity after this or something, right? In rap terms, he didn't mean it. I think I don't think he meant it anything more than that, but that was the perfect way to tie it in because it was kind of, people had the comparisons with our styles. They even said we looked alike and all this other shit, right? So I'm trying to create a I'm trying to create the separation, and that was one of the things that I felt like I'd be able to use to create the separation. But again, the main part of that battle, the reason that I was like what I was taking advantage of was the opportunity to spread the light on that. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
it got crazy. Like, a lot of, I know people don't really know about like, like Indian singers and shit like that, but these are people that got like 500 million views and shit like that, retweeting it and fucking posting it. Jinder Mahal from WWE posted it. Like, that shit went kind of viral. And I think the best part about it is, as dope as that is that the message was getting out there and more
Yeah.
people found out what was going on over there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I always feel like when you have an opportunity like this, you have to use it for something. So like when me and Kid Chaos battled, all the Black Lives Matter protests were going on. So we ended with, he just happened to do it too, but I ended my battle speaking in solidarity with the protests and shit like that. You know what I mean? So like I feel like when real shit is going on, bro, you have to say something about it. You know what I mean? And seeing the impact that it had, like, I'm not are you on Clubhouse? Are you familiar
No,
with
I'm
Clubhouse?
familiar with
It's
it,
like
but no, I'm not on it.
so my boy Nino Bless, I know that's a mutual friend we have.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of organized this room with a bunch of sick people that a lot of them didn't even know what battle rap was, but they're all watching this shit because they knew this is coming at the end, right? And it's him and Pindy too. I want to shout her out. They like made this whole room, and the best part of I'm just saying this because the best part of the whole night after I delivered this message, you know what I mean? I knew I had to be killing it, so I make my first 2 rounds ridiculous, and then I'm like, all right, now deliver the message. I hop in that clubhouse room after, and there was people in there that were like crying, like a fucking 8-year-old kid was in his dad was in there, and now he saw that, and now he's fucking freestyling. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, I want to be like Sikh or whatever. You know what I mean? And there's people that just felt like they were heard. You know what I mean? After I delivered that message, and I think, like I said, that's part of the main like reason or the main I guess mission I had, or one of them when I fell in love with hip hop. You know what I mean? Was
Yeah.
to kind of represent, be just some form of representation for
Yeah.
people that look like me. You know what I mean?
100%. And aside from like hip hop itself sort of being born out of like rebelling and speaking that truth to
Mm-hmm.
power, truth to power, it's like if you look at, the goats of shit like hip
Mm-hmm.
hop and people that had a deep, long standing impact, like Tupac, or you go to boxing and you look at like Muhammad Ali, like
Yeah.
their greatness and how they're perceived and the longevity of their legendary status isn't just from the craft. It's a
Yeah.
lot of it is the unspoken, like what they used it for. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's something extra to that. Like I'm
Yeah.
not just the best at this thing, to take that and that platform and to use it for something bigger, like empowers everybody who can relate, and is so
Hmm.
much deeper than rapping a verse, winning a battle, winning a poll, winning a
Yeah.
boxing match, selling 1 million records. You know what I mean?
Thanks.
That's why we look at these icons, and they aren't topped by anybody, you know what I mean, because
Hmm.
their place is solidified for being able to create, essentially a platform for other people, or at least represent for people who didn't have that
Absolutely.
voice at that time, man. So I definitely
Yep.
commend you on that. I like I said, I thought it was
Appreciate that.
masterful writing, and it was super powerful. And like, you know, if you don't know, like if you're watching, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be
Hmm.
on this. I like briefly kind of like skimmed and looked it up after
Hmm.
watching your rounds, because I wanted to know like what you're
Hmm.
talking about. But essentially, it's
Yeah.
like, farmers protesting because the government essentially wanting to pass laws that would put the farmers at the mercy of corporations, like price changes
Yep.
in crops being bought, and rice and all this, right? And so,
Yeah. Right. Right.
and it's something that's been long standing, that
Hmm.
a lot of local economies, and depend on, is like,
Yeah.
selling these at these fixed prices to the government. It's been long standing, and now they're
Hmm.
trying to change it, and essentially just like squash the, mom and pop and smaller
Yeah.
businesses. Is that?
But yeah, and the shit that made it even more of an issue was when the protests first happened, all the human rights violations that happened. Like they brought out like the hoses, and they were hosing people down. Fucking like the police are just beating people. Women were getting assaulted and then locked in cages. There was people missing. You know what I mean? Like they just did. And then the guy, the dude that's in power over there, he's worse than Trump. He's a horrible fucking person. You know what I mean? Like he anytime like just seeing how crazy the politics is over there. Like, and again, I'm not the most educated with in this. I just know right and wrong. You know what I mean? So like me just seeing that, and then we like I'm just raised in Sikh culture. Like it's a warrior mentality that I was raised with. It's a very rebellious, or standing up for what on the side of what's right. You know what I mean? Like that was instilled in me since a kid. So like there's a lot of those qualities that I hold to this day. And when I see something like that, I can't just stay silent. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, but that's basically what it is. And the shit is still going on. And it
Yeah.
started, I think, like last September or October,
Yeah, I think
and the
like
shit is still going on.
last I read something that said like as of like February or March or something, it had been 100 days of protest.
Yeah,
It might have been like February or something, but and
yeah,
then there was like one person had died, hundreds have been hospitalized and terribly
yeah,
injured, and all sorts of craziness. And they were like,
yeah,
essentially standing in solidarity, like thousands of people like protesting and like blocking like a main like highway and stuff,
yeah,
because no one would listen. So it's like,
yep.
well, we got to make noise somehow, like.
Somehow, yeah,
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 and then a lot of the violence has happened with that, right? Like them trying to
yeah.
clear,
Hmm.
government coming in trying to clear them out and everything.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy, man. Like, hats off
Ridiculous.
to you, bro, for doing that
Thank
again,
you.
both on the lyrical miracle level, and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like what you said. Like I said, I was like, yo, I need to see what that's actually about. And even
Hmm.
that small thing of like, it inspired me just to like educate myself a little bit on it.
Hmm.
Like that's so big, you know what I mean, for
Yeah,
because
I
to have
think
that
that's
impact, you know.
yeah, that's the main thing that I was trying. I think that because people will ask how they can help, and of course, there's like donations and organizations like Casa Aid is one of them that's been like feeding the people there for free.
Mm-hmm.
since whatever. They help out a lot, but I think the main thing is to spread the word as much as possible, because anytime that happens, change can be made. Rihanna tweeted about it. I think like 2 weeks before my battle with Mike P or whatever, and it got a lot of. And she tweeted it and was like, "Why aren't we talking about this?" And then it got to the point where like the people that are with the laws, the bad guys, basically. You know what I mean? They're like they started taking like Rihanna's pictures and burning them in the protests, and like this shit is so crazy over there. But the that little bit of awareness helped. So any little
Mm-hmm.
bit of awareness that can be, spread, I think is the important thing to do right now, because obviously we're not there like in person, and it's a
Right.
whole nother country, whole nother government. Like, so I think that's the main thing that we can do right now. So
Right.
just spread the word, you and understand it. You know what I mean? Take an interest to it, whatever. Just spread the word.
Yeah. No, one hundred
Yeah.
percent. And I also think there's something to be said for even just you being who you are and
Mhm.
being on camera in front of thousands of people and doing this thing, even without speaking on things, like that representation is important. People
Yeah.
being able to look and see someone who looks like them or is from the same place or has the
Mhm.
same belief system as them,
Yeah.
participating in things that, like hip hop or whatever, where in places where it might not seem like the norm, like those
Mhm.
those are like barrier breakers, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and can be the difference of like people's young impressionable minds whole life paths, you know what I mean. And
Mhm.
also with, on a larger scale outside of representation, I
Mhm.
think for other people from different backgrounds or beliefs or whatever to look and say, like, to humanize that, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
we see on the news, whatever, like, there's a lot of ignorant people like terrorists, and then that there's association with that. Well,
Yeah.
for you to like be in the spotlight, growing your name, doing all these things, it also gives
Right.
a way for people who are unfamiliar to like humanize,
Yeah. Yep.
Sikhism, essentially, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
that's important as well.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think in the Mike P battle, you said you were militant Sikh,
Mhm.
and like, being like a while back, like even like before I reached out to you, like I just wanted to look up like Sikhism and what
Mhm.
exactly that is, and I like just took some notes just to like get it out there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
essentially, I know a like very very basic like amount about like Vaishnavism and Krishna consciousness and stuff, just from like proximity. Like
Mhm.
my girl was raised in with that belief structure, and
Mhm.
like her dad is like very involved in the spiritual community, and like
Yeah.
I've been to different events or whatever. But like, so is it fair to say like essentially like Sikhism is sort of like, very broad strokes, by the way, feel free to
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
somewhat of
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
like
Got you.
what I read as a like quote was like somewhat of a compromise between like Hinduism and Buddhism, in that the highest achievement is to escape the cycle of life and death. Like,
Yeah. That it. As far as like where like the the Hinduism Buddhism thing, I know that the escaping the cycle of life and death. Yes, that's like the end goal, right? And we believe that every religion has pieces of the truth in it. You know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? So like, I'm pretty sure there's ideas in there from other religious texts as well. Um, but yeah, that's like the ultimate goal. You know what I mean? Like for me, like I really the part of it that I really connect to, um, because I was raised in it, and I think that everybody that's kind of raised in a religion hits a point in their life when they start thinking for themselves, and then they go back and they're like, "Do I really believe this?" You know what I mean? So when I hit that point, and just our concept of God, Like I couldn't believe God was a man or I didn't believe there's a man or a woman in the sky just looking down on us like chess pieces. And our concept of God is, the energy that moves the universe is God. God is genderless. It's there's no, you can't make statues of God. Like there's no, there's it's just the energy, and it's the energy that we can all access. I was like, I fuck with that. I could,
Yeah.
I could fuck with that. The
Same.
our beliefs on service, and like I said, the warrior mentality we have, be on the right side of justice, defend the defenseless, like all of that, all those kind of things is the part that I connect to it the most. Um, and I wouldn't consider myself super, super religious. Like, there's some traditions in Sikhism that I don't follow. Like, you're supposed to grow your beard out too, and I'll shape up my beard, or like you're not supposed to drink. You know what I mean? Shit like that. But like, as far as the belief system and like all of that stuff, yeah, that's the part of it that I connect to the most. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like the history, man. Like we're a fairly new religion too. Like most religions have been around like forever. Sikhism is like fucking 1500s, 1400s, somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's pretty new, and we've in our whole history's religion, we've had to deal with a lot of wars and genocides and shit like that. The latest one was in 1984. You know what I mean? So like we've had to deal with that shit like forever. So as a kid, you can't mention or teach somebody about a religion without mentioning that stuff too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because it's part of the history. So like, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm
No,
just
yeah.
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
no,
like,
no. It makes and something you said that stuck out was, or is like these things I identify with. Maybe I don't.
yeah,
Fully, bruh. Like so, like I was saying, my girl, her dad's like very involved in
hmm,
the in Krishna consciousness and the Vaishnavism community is like a spiritual like leader. He gets flown around the
hmm,
world to sing kirtan, and like everywhere he
fire,
goes, like they got a place he could live if needed, in temples
yeah,
everywhere. He's like a celebrity, you know what I mean? And like we've
fire,
had like dope conversations, and one thing that
uh-huh.
he like fully believes is like, man, religion is just the gateway to spirituality. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
he's like, it doesn't matter if you're, follow this, do that. It's just the gateway. He's like, it's really
hmm,
about what moves you, what you identify with, to
yeah,
ultimately, find your spirituality, etc. So I
yeah. I have that same view. Obviously, in all beliefs, there's the people that are super, super strict. You know
mm-hmm,
what I mean? But I think, I think, at the end of the day, it's a belief system, so it's up to interpretation. You know
mm-hmm,
what I mean? You're gonna take from it what you resonate with. You know
mm-hmm,
what I mean? I it's like I'm never gonna tell somebody how to, and this is another thing I like about a religion. We don't believe in forced conversion. So you'll never see a Sikh preacher on the street trying to tell you to join Sikhism, right? But you can join if you want, but we're not gonna try to force you to join, right? And I like that part
yeah,
because
that's fire.
I'm never gonna try to tell somebody how they should be following it, like any belief system, or that I'm the role model and you should be doing what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like it's all interpretation,
Mm-hmm,
man. And I think that is, maybe it's a modern way to look at religion,
mm-hmm,
but I think it's definitely the updated, like the way people probably should look at religion, in the sense of, I let me follow it how I want to follow it. I shouldn't try to force my ways onto other people,
right,
type thing. You know what I
yep.
mean? Like, so
I love that. I love that. And
yeah.
even speaking, I'm just curious, like
Hmm.
speaking to, you know, an ultimate goal being to escape the cycle of death. There's a lot of common ground between a lot of sort of Eastern philosophies with that, from Buddhism, Hinduism, Vaishnavism, Sikhism. That's like a common thread I see a lot. And one thing I've like kind of gotten broken down to me, like karma, like a lot of people think karma is like this cause and effect, like you do a bad thing happens to you, where I've like had it almost broken down to me of like, karma is like an energy you create through deeds, and the ultimate goal, and that doesn't mean bad deed equals bad karma, anything. It's just more of energy that gets perpetuated throughout time and lifetimes. So, and how essentially like escaping that cycle of life and death is ultimately having zero karma, because the reason a lot of the escaping the cycle of death infers that you believe in reincarnation, you know what I mean? And then with that, you're going to keep reincarnated. It's like, to put in a basic way, to as long as you have something else to learn, whether it be as a human, as a dog, as a, I don't know, a plant, whatever it is, And so to escape that is to ultimately have zero karma, good or bad, to become one. Do you, to return back to oneness, essentially, do you like subscribe to like that sort of like belief in reincarnation or karma?
That's that karma, yes. The reincarnation I kind of have, open, because I didn't die yet. As far as I know, you know what I mean. I don't. I guess it's a. I don't even know. I kind of don't have a opinion on it. I see it's possible, and I can see why people would think it's impossible too. You know what I mean? But like, I'm kind of just like, let me see. That's kind of where I am with it. I like the concept of it a lot, and I know we have our belief is that is no more karma. I think that there's like 5. We call them the 5 thieves, but it's like lust, ego. There's like there's 5 of them. And I think it's none of that either. So it's like no karma, no ego, no, just the state of spirituality.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then you escape the cycle of life and death. And I think that's super dope, because I was raised with the like my mom would say as a joke, like if you're a bad person, you're gonna reincarnate as a frog or something, you know what I mean, or like you know what I mean, like an ant or like a plant, something like that, you know what I mean. So I know that is a belief system. I'm not all the way there with that one,
right?
But again, I'm not against it either. I'm just open. Like I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
you
no,
know what
100%.
I mean?
Yeah, I definitely am like there with you in a lot of ways. Of I don't have a set belief system, essentially. Like I'm like super with just intaking things and sort of like incorporating them into a very general, like, a very general sort of like malleable belief system. And that's not to say like I'm not standing for anything, but I'm open to new information and new beliefs, sort of like sparking new trains of thought. And I hear things and my mind runs with them, like, it's like I almost on a microcosmic level, like in life, if you don't learn from your mistakes, you keep repeating them, and you get put in these situations. You're constantly presented with situations where that are opportunities to learn that lesson that you're missing, whether it be relationships, whether it be, drug abuse, anything, good or bad. But we're kind of like always presented with the opportunity to learn from mistakes that we haven't quite got yet, or learn certain lessons. So it would, for me, it's like energy. You can't destroy energy. Like, I give you water, you boil it, it becomes steam. You can't break it. You freeze it, it's ice, it melts again, it's water. Like, and we're energy, you can't destroy that. So, okay, then now that might make sense. And I throw that in the pot. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, then maybe there is these lessons that we take over you know,
Yeah.
a million lifetimes, and in those lifetimes we're presented with this sort of cosmic
Right.
pattern of opportunities to learn from
Yeah.
our mistakes or whatever it is, you
Yeah,
know.
because that energy thing, like you said, you can't like you ever heard the theory that like people's explanation for ghosts, let's say, right? And they're like places have memories
Mm-hmm.
because like a place could have and I guess that's like the energy. So if
Yeah.
people see an apparition or something, I mean, I've never seen a ghost or anything, so I'm like that. I'm open minded about that too. Like I don't know if that shit is real or not, but
Right.
like
They
that was
say
an interesting
limestone
concept.
like holds a lot of that holds a lot of energy and shit,
Uh huh.
and it's like there'll
Yeah,
be like,
I thought that was so interesting because I never thought of it like that. Like
mm-hmm.
places can have memories too, and like if you see a ghost, it might just be a reoccurring memory or a sequence that just you know what I mean. Like I
Yeah,
was like, that's interesting too.
that's
So
wild.
like
Yeah.
that energy, I do think there's something beyond a scientific level, maybe like some kind of energy or something
Mm-hmm.
that's just beyond, because like another thing that six like that we're taught is we understand that we're not going to understand everything, you know what I mean? So like I think that open-mindedness instilled in us kind of lets kind of, I think that's where the attitude comes from of, I get that, maybe there's some things that I haven't been exposed to yet that I can just wait to see what happens. I don't have to know everything. I
Yeah.
don't have to, you know what I mean? I'm always going to be learning. Sikh in Punjabi, our language means learner. Like Sikh means to learn. Like so
Damn.
we're kind of always in a state of just learning. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
That's amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times, if you know, the your average, like a popular perception or example we see of like
Yeah.
religious people will be, you know,
Telling you
there's
how it is
how it is,
instead of
and
yeah.
there's this book, it has the answers, don't question
Yeah.
it. If we don't know, it's
Right.
God, but it's our God and we understand that, and it's very concrete in that, you know. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like the room, I like the
The
room for that.
room,
Yeah.
exactly. The
Yeah.
room for new knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
man.
that's another thing that I like about my religion. Like I said, the fact that like everything our view on religions is just, it doesn't matter whether you call God Yahweh, Allah, whatever. It's just this. It's the same one. Like we're all
Mm-hmm.
talking about the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so still like seeing other scriptures and saying, you know, being a part of that and being able to recognize that is the truth. It's not so combative. You know what I mean? Like I don't think like I don't have any desire to debate Sikhism with anybody, and I don't think any Sikh really does. Like we're not gonna try to tell us who's right and who's wrong, or you know what I mean. Like I don't think I've ever seen a debate with like a Sikh in it. It's more so somebody probably saying something that they maybe interpreted in a different way, and people arguing interpretations and shit like that. But that's like that's like also a reason I don't know if I want to battle the Christian guys. You know what I mean? Because like I have
You
no
know,
desire to
people,
debate
yeah. People always want to see
religion
like
up
a
there with you. Yeah.
theological fucking. People always want to see like a theological,
Because
or
they're
if not
yeah,
see, people always want to do this like bigger
yeah,
theological debate that they're not even qualified to do. Like,
yeah, or like because if you tell me what you believe, my response is gonna be all right,
hey, lit.
cool, cool, yeah, lit, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to debate that with you? Like,
Yeah.
but I forgot why I brought that up. What were we talking
No,
about?
we're talking about the
Just
room to
like yeah,
learn,
the room to yeah. So I can hear, you know, somebody that believes in Islam just tell me something that that they learned, and I could be like, oh shit, okay, like maybe I could add that in there, and
right.
like yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Earlier,
like the open mindedness. Yeah.
100%. Earlier, I noticed too, you flashed like the ring on your right
Yeah, the
wrist, and like
bracelet.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bracelet. And I had like, so
This one.
against
Yeah.
Mike, I wrote this down because I thought it was crazy. But against
Yeah.
Mike, you said, I'm a militant Sikh. Don't ever get it twisted. I gotta stay armed. That's what it says in my religion. We even got weapons in the temple that we sit in. So why the fuck would I treat your temple
Your
any
temple is
different?
different.
Bruh, that's crazy.
I
That's
love that
for one, I
line.
just wrote
Thank
that.
you.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
then so like, I kind of like looked up a little bit about that. And is that like a
Yeah.
reference to the 5Ks?
Yeah,
And
yeah, it is. So it's just the warrior mentality. Like one of the things it says in our religious text is a Sikh should always stay armed. And I think you can do that physically, you can do armed with knowledge, just armed. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
And so that goes into our warrior mentality too. And I think I like highlighting that because for some reason when people think religion, I think they put it in this box of just nonviolence, which we would prefer that, you know what I mean? But I think we know, especially with our history, that that's not the only. Sometimes that's not the only option. Sometimes you have to fight. You know what I mean? And that being instilled in us is something that I like highlighting because of the perception, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
and also it's just a big part. So like you referenced the 5Ks, we kind of became a warrior religion. So we have 10 gurus, which were like they were like the spiritual leaders at the time. So all right, let's get into this. All right, so at the time, right,
Let's get to
there was
chopping
there was let's get to chopping the fable. So at that time in like India, the two main religions were Islam and Hinduism, and I think Buddhism was there too. So when Sikhism started being, birthed, there was like a Mughal empire. I guess Genghis Khan's uh, like great grandsons or who it related to him, but this whole empire, right? And they kind of didn't like that because by the third guru, which is like a spiritual leader, by the third one, they kind of saw it being a threat, and it got to the point to where they would kind of have bounties on Sikh's head because of our rule to not cut any hair. We were pretty distinguishable. So like if you brought the king, and mind you, this is radical thinking. They're not like a representation of whatever their beliefs were, right? But like if you brought them like a head of a adult male, you'd get this much money. If you brought them the head of a kid, you'd get this much money. And they were like they started attacking us. So instead of, what I mean, just taking that, we started, fighting back, and we militarized. Um,
Keep a saber
um,
on you. Got it. Wasn't
yeah,
that one of them too? You had to like keep
was
and obviously it's relative to the time with the saber being, I'm sure, like a popular weapon, but it's like
yeah,
have
just yeah, staying,
keep the
just
thing
yeah,
on.
that was.
Keep the
But
thing
but
on.
the 5Ks came from so by the 10th guru, right? They he kind of made this thing called the Khalsa, Khalsa, which was kind of like devoted. It's kind of like I don't like saying like baptism. It's kind of like that. It's just like a devotion to the religion, right? And one of the things that a devoted Sikh has is the 5Ks. So obviously, in Punjabi they're Ks, but it's just hair. You know what I mean? Keeping your hair. The hold on, my bad. I just got yeah. Keeping the hair, the sword, and I think and this is like definitely one of these used to be like for war. They used to be like longer to
Mm.
block, yeah, to block like swords and shit. So if you ever see like a fully militarized Sikh, like the old like pictures, it looks crazy. Their turban got the circle sharp circle things on them, and they just got them up here, and they're all suited up. They got swords everywhere. Like this shit is crazy, right?
That's fire.
But like, but yeah. So I like highlighting that part of my religion and my culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's the warrior aspect, and like it has a direct connection to battle rap in this, like,
Yeah,
in this way, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
especially the way that you use it. You use it as like a spiritual warrior without it sounding too, you know what I mean? Not
yeah,
like you're not
yeah,
like out here just preaching everything or nothing, which I think even
yeah,
coincides with what you've been saying. A lot of the beliefs. Yeah, I'm not gonna try to sell you on it,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
or say
Believe
that
what you
you're
believe.
wrong.
Just
Yeah,
be a good person, basically. Right?
right.
That's like what we believe. Whether you believe it, I'm not gonna argue specifics with you. Just
Yeah.
like just be a good person, man.
So what's
That's
up?
it.
Y'all gotta
Like,
jump me in or what? What's what's popping?
hey,
um,
man, you could like I said, we don't believe in forced conversion. So if you want to join, come on in, bro. All Sikh temples have four entrances to signify anybody's welcome. So like, it
damn.
doesn't matter your faith or what you like, none of that. It's open to everybody. The only rules, you got to take your shoes off and you got to cover your head.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only two rules. But like, anybody is welcome. They have the prayers, and then at the end of the prayer, everybody sits on the floor and shares a meal. It doesn't matter your social status, all of that. Everybody sits on the floor, and then the people who want to help out, they'll go to the kitchen and they'll help serve the food. But everybody shares a free meal. So like,
That's
they
fire.
I forget the exact number, but like our main temple is called the Golden Temple. It's in India, and they feed like a ridiculous amount of people a day. You know what I mean? And it's all free because we believe in service. You know what I mean? That's why a lot of you'll see a lot of Sikhs in the military too,
Mm-hmm.
especially in in the UK. They We're kind of known for our bravery from the crazy shit that we've done fighting on their side. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Nah, that's
pretty
dope, man.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's fire. I think there's a lot of parallels in with that, and battle rapping specifically the way you use the platform. It's really dope. I
Appreciate you.
I also know that you know what I mean. I don't want to keep you for too long, but there's just a
Uh-huh.
couple of things I want to run past you
Yeah,
real
let's
quick. A
do it.
couple even
Let's
like
do it.
quick fire things. This
Yeah. Yeah.
this might be a little bit of a topic, but we could breeze through it. But so I know like how you were saying you don't want to necessarily have this big theological debate with some Christian rapper, and you know what I mean,
Right.
like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
like something we see a lot. Like, do you have any like pet peeves in battle rap or writing,
Oh my God.
and this is like a
Absolutely.
loaded question to get us to
Yeah.
something like current event wise and lines
Yeah.
that have been
Yeah.
highlighted lately, but
Yeah.
like in
Yeah.
general though, like do you have any big pet peeves, whether it be as a fan watching different battles or what people say to you, or what people do
With
in
me,
battles?
it's just the stereotyping that'll like piss me off. Or not even piss me off. I don't count it as a point. You know what I mean? Because like if I'm like if you're using like Muslim beliefs or Hindu beliefs, and you're saying, "Oh, you do this, so then I'm gonna do this" as like a bar, like that shit
Like,
is so whack to me.
yeah,
Only because, and if you're accurate, like there's a lot of shit you could work with. You know what I mean? To think of crazy bars with. Like I don't ever get pissed off when people do that. It's just the lack of creativity. Like
yeah.
I've been
Run
called a
up on you
fucking
on Ramadan, and you're
yeah, and I'm
like,
like, I
what?
don't even you
Yeah,
pray 5 times a day. No, no, that's not us. That's the
right.
wrong one. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But like I've been called a fucking 7-Eleven owner in like 6 fucking battles. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like or like I get it, it's part of battle rap. It comes with the territory. You know what I mean? Like your appearance is gonna get attacked. I don't mind it. The lack of creativity is definitely just something that just makes me be like, all right, that wasn't
Yeah.
anything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um, but as far as other than that, I hate forced multis. Like, you know, Danny Myers is one of my favorites, but he got a lot of, you know what I mean? Like he got a so he got a
Yeah.
lot of, the bar will be crazy, but
I
the bar is crazy. The My punches are like Einstein's theories, the way I space, time, and continuum. Fire bar. but the setup was I break spines at minimum, and it's like, come on, you could think of something. You know what I mean? You could think of something.
Yeah.
He's doing less of that now. I
Yeah.
think this year he's kind of found
I love
who he
Danny
is.
too,
But like,
but
yeah,
worst setups in the game damn near a lot of
yeah,
times.
man,
It's like the
his
punch
setups
is
are
like,
yeah
but I love and I love his energy and creative writing, and it's different, and I like that he's
amazing.
not afraid to be different and be
Yeah.
himself, and it
But I also like I was thinking about it and I was like, yo, I mean, he has a lot to take care of. If he really has like all those kids and you know what I mean? Like he probably if he got a busy life, he probably has like notes full of just the punches.
yeah.
So like when
And
the
then
battle
right
comes
before
up,
he's
he's
like, all
like, all
right,
right,
boom, breaks
let me
punches
just
in
boom,
just
boom, boom.
filling
Cause
in the blanks
yeah,
of the setups real
yeah,
quick.
yeah, exactly. What am I gonna rhyme with? All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then it just like I said, he's been doing less of that this year. Like I've seen since he battled drugs, Arsenal, Kid Chaos, like those battles he's been kinda
I feel
like
like he said
I've seen
something
less
about
of that.
a beer can house or something, an Australian beer
Oh
can
yeah.
house, like something grew up in foster
The
homes.
Holmes, yeah.
I
Obviously
was like,
Lima Bean in a time
no.
machine. The
Yeah, that I always disputed, right? I was always like, but lima bean is a legume. And then somebody was like, I was like, it's not a vegetable, it's a bean, right? It's a legume. And then somebody was like, well, you know that legume is actually French for bean, right? And I was like, wait, what? And I like looked it up and I was like, damn, fucking
yeah.
not the French setup.
Yeah.
But,
But
but
yeah, I like poor choice of word. So like I've noticed this when I was, dissecting Mike P when I was preparing for him. Like for example, like when there's a better word that they could have used.
mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
so like he told Dunch is a lawyer. You a lawyer, right, Dunch? Beat a shell case. Fire bar. If you're rhyming with shell case, shouldn't the first thing 12 gauge should kind of pop in your head like, oh, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it's like one of those. But his setup was, I put a shotgun in this male face. That was the setup.
Yeah.
You a lawyer, right, Dutch? Need a shell case, and it's like you could have set that shit up so much better. You know what I mean? And my bad, I'm going through other battle rap. This is just what I
No,
remember.
no, no. It's
Like
all
it's
good. It's a
like
safe space.
examples. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
like I remember that being like one of the ones where there's something clearly better. Like you could have that like just shit that sounds unnatural. You know
Right.
what I mean? That's kind of the broad
Yeah,
thing.
that
Even if you don't got a punchline, but like you just sound like you're really, really trying. You
yeah.
know what I mean? And it's not natural for you to
There's
just
so many
rhyme.
bars like that where it's like that bar
Yeah.
is amazing, but like you went to a different world to make that rhyme. Like when it was a
Yeah.
very simple thing that would have rhymed with that, because when those moments happen, whether it's a punchline or not, when those like
Yeah.
perfect rhymes happen, and it's not about the multis, or it's about like when you can connect this line, the setup and the end with like the perfect rhyme that's perfectly
Mm-hmm.
relevant. And the first thing that came to my mind thinking about this isn't a battle bar. I first heard Pusha rhyme this. I think Black Thought did more recently, and I think there might have been someone else because I got into a little. Someone quoted Black Thought rhyming
Mm-hmm.
Caesar and Brutus and Jesus and Judas.
Judas. Yeah.
And I heard Pusha do that in, I forget, it wasn't on Exodus, but it was around that time in '08 or so. It was on the same project that had Chopper and A Million in the Ceiling or whatever. I can't remember. But
Mm-hmm.
it was named after like a Bible passage or something, I feel like, the project. Either way, that
Yeah.
just that rhyme, because of the relationship of Caesar and Judas, I mean Caesar and Caesar and Brutus and Jesus,
Yeah.
like how
Crazy.
the million parallels of that, and to like perfectly rhyme that, like that's so, there's something that just clicks for me when I hear
Yeah.
that. Like, damn, why did
Yeah.
I wish I would have thought of that? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
And when you
yeah,
can do
yeah.
that in punchline form, it's, oh come on, bro. Like that's
Yeah.
the goal, damn near. You know what I
Ridiculous.
mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah, that's the goal. The first perfect rhyme I remember noticing was I think M said he rhymed breast implants with getting your chest enhanced.
That's
And I was like, that's
crazy.
like
Yeah.
it makes sense. And I think that's when I started noticing them more. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then noticing the ones that didn't relate. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Kira
yeah.
Lenka in the chat brought this up and beat me to it. I was gonna say this because I've like said it a million times, but
Hmm.
early on freestyle era, this foot thesaurus said he got an HIV test and got an A.
AIDS.
IDS. And I'm like,
Amazing.
I'm
Yeah,
like, first of
amazing.
all, how clever to say like he
Yeah.
took an HIV test as if it's a test and got an
Yeah.
A.
Yeah. IDS.
IDS. I'm like,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
only
yeah.
does it rhyme perfectly, the cleverness of it, that's one of my
Yeah.
favorite like bar that'll go down like it's one of
Yeah.
my favorite bars ever.
Yeah.
And it does that exact thing of
What
like
one
connecting
of the
the
things yeah, one of the things I had to get used to was not be I think I've heard you say it before, like a lyrical accountant or like early me would be like, nah, I'm saying I twice with HIV test and AIDS. I'm like, no, I'm saying I twice. And I gotta try to figure out something different. But like now, I'm more like if it makes sense, it's okay. Like
right.
I can repeat a word or something. If
Yeah.
I'm rhyming for 32 bars with this shit, I can repeat a
Yeah, I
word.
used to
You know what I
kind of
mean?
have
Like
those same rules for sure, and definitely
yeah,
like had to be like, well, what am I doing? Like I'm
yeah,
having these secret rules that I'm trying to follow that's
yeah.
almost handicapping because that's amazing. Like I should just do that,
The
and
first the
nobody else is
first
gonna
time
pick that apart.
nobody, yeah. The first time I really let go of it, I was battling B Magic, and I had this section where I was just talking to him, and then I didn't really. I was that. So I was rhyming with the staff really hates you, right? That's
Hmm.
what I started with, and I said you a bunch of times, and I didn't start changing it until like 5, 6 bars in. But everything was so the staff really hates you. But I asked for this plate because I'm a fan of the great you, the back in the days you, spazzing on stage. Best flow in battle rap was your lane, but your status changed. Be mad at the game rules. My value and fame grew. I have to replace you. I feel bad, but I'm paid to. So like that whole part that I was doing, I was like, the you part, I was just like, fuck, I'm repeating it. But that's the first time I remember just letting it go and be like,
Yeah.
it makes sense. I have to.
And
You know what I
sometimes it
mean?
can
Like,
be purposeful. It's like that
yeah,
it
that's yeah.
helps like get this momentum and,
Emphasize.
and yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
emphasize your point.
Yep.
Like I'm talking to you, this is
You.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like for instance the N word, like when rappers do that, like I'm bringing this up because I get YouTube comments sometime. I had Geechee on a Raising the Bar, and he
Hmm.
has a bunch of lines that end with that, and so people are
Yeah.
like, oh, it's not hard just to rhyme that. I'm like, but all the stuff before it is rhyming.
Yeah.
Like that's just it's like
Right.
alliteration, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
how we're using it. You didn't just rhyme you with you a bunch of times. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's the Apman and mate new, Lapman and
Yeah.
Nate. There's all these
Yeah.
other parts that are
Yep.
rhyming that it takes skill. We're not just using the same word as a cop
Yeah.
out a
It's
bunch
just
of
for
times.
emphasis.
Yep.
It's like, did you see Tay Rock's round versus official? The body bitch
Yes,
round?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So like people were like they thought he was just rhyming
Rhyming
body
bitch the
bitch.
whole time.
Now
Yeah.
now now granted, I do think he did it for too long, but like he was rhyming the shit before it with
Mm-hmm.
like perfect,
Yep.
like he had a couple perfect rhymes in there that I remember.
Yeah, it's
But
it's
yeah.
purposeful. It's not just
Yeah.
no. Connor brought up a good one too, which was Bender's atomic bomb designer, Dr. Robert
Amazing.
Oppenheimer, and his
Bro,
squad of
that shit
top
is crazy.
advisors wanna side with Nazi occupied.
Holocaust
Oh
and
yeah,
and
Holocaust
Holocaust
survivors,
deniers,
Holocaust
or like,
deniers, and
bro, that shit was perfect.
bruh, that shit, like he was the king of that low key of like
Hundred
having a
percent, yeah,
million like rhyme shit that rhymes so well that you're like in your head you want to swap or side with Nazi occupied, but
yeah,
where he would do it in your head, you're almost thinking like this is a bunch of bullshit, like that defense mechanism, like this is rhyming too good, this, and
yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
but when you pick it
Can't
apart,
be
it's like everything is perfect, you know what
everything.
I
Yeah,
mean?
he was definitely. That's why I think it was so. I remember thinking it was so genius when he did the. I didn't even use the sorry player shit. I didn't
Yeah,
even use
yeah,
and he starts because as a rapper, you have those moments where you're like, yo, there's mad other shit that rhymes with this, but it doesn't make sense You know what I mean? But
use it
it's a
in this.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's a perfect. Schwarzenegger is a perfect rhyme with sorry player for him, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, that's right there. Like,
Yeah.
I have to figure out a way, and you can't. So then for him to just do that scheme and then say, I didn't even use all this shit, and I was like, that's the genius way to involve all those fucking
Yeah,
monkeys
all
in
those
there.
ones that were like, damn, I wish I could, but it'll be forced. You know what? I'm gonna just
Yeah.
give them to you. Look,
Like
I
how
didn't even.
how am I gonna put this in the round? I'm gonna just say it. Fuck it. I
Yeah.
also thought of all of this
Yeah, yeah.
shit.
I didn't even have
Yeah.
to use it. So good. Yeah,
Yeah,
hey,
R.I.P.
chat.
man.
Yeah,
He's fired.
RIP King Bender.
Yeah.
Drop some Bender emotes in the chat for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, pulverize. Why is it the best bar this year?
Now we were talking about setups. That's the best setup ever.
Okay.
He said this is hold on, listen. He set up a bar like a magic trick. Because he didn't say
for my next
he didn't
trick.
Say he didn't say he just said I could kill you with the word pulverize. And he was like, watch this.
Pulverize. Yo.
No, but he added a syllable in there. He didn't say pul, he said rise. Like he added like an extra syllable in there. Yeah, but that
Bar
setup was hilarious.
You know what that
He
bar
set it
is
up
to
with
me? That bar is like the lyrical equivalent of Donald Trump.
Oh,
and
yeah,
here's why I say that.
Yeah.
Because that bar, like, people started to care about bad wordplay with that bar.
Yeah.
Where it's like, we've been seeing this is all the top writers. They have been doing this exact thing. But it was like, well, now we see, like, that bar was like Donald Trump, because it's like, well, now I'm critical to it. I'm not allowing that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, this has been the standard. This has been the standard. And like, I even tweeted something to that effect of like, if your favorite battle rapper says this, like, you're gassing it. Like, you're like, okay, yeah, the setup could have been better. But here's my point. Yeah, the setup was bad. But people want to say like, oh, if he would have set it up differently or did this, but it's like, no, it's bad. No matter how you set it up, it's bad. And like I even seen, and this isn't to hate on Ward, this is like a reflection of that opinion. I seen him like on I seen a clip, a blog, a battle rap.
Compass Media.
Yeah, and we're talking with A Ward, and they were like, yo, he's like, well, you know, if he would have did it like this, you know, pulverize, you get
like
pulverized.
if Twerk said
and and they're like, whoo, and then hell of the comments are like, yo, why did he make this fire? And I'm just like, okay, so you see the problem isn't the bar, it's you guys, because that's terrible still. Even set up better, it's bad. Like, that's bad writing. What's the rise? The gun rising? You already pulled it. The vert, like, it's just bad. And so like,
why are you writing?
What you mean raise? Pulverize? You're raising the gun? Is the gun rising? Like, what's this Shakespearean way? And my point is just like, I even said this, like, it's not the fact that he said the bar. It's the fact that he felt comfortable saying it in front of y'all, because y'all been gassing this shit forever. You know what I mean? And some,
it's like the cat standard. It's like the cat from London said, he said that and he meant that. Because he wrote it and then he read that. And he didn't take it out. He kept that. Like that. Like that's like who I want to know who he sparred with. That's what I want to know. Like, because those are the real people that are like, as battle rappers, maybe you can let it slide. Like, all right, you're trying to do something different, and maybe it was different in his head. But the people he ran that by, that were like, yeah, keep that one. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but I get what you're saying.
I think
like,
I think Twerk says that people are quoting it with like mind blown emojis. I think if Rum says that, and it's lines that they would say. Like, I think they're the best. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on them. I think they're they're top 5, 10 right now to me. You know, I love Twerk. He's crazy. He's a different animal. Rum is probably God tier, probably the best. But he be saying shit that I'm like, it's like how you said you get credit with the crowd. It's like a comedian. If you come out and you establish if you get the crowd to trust you, then you can bring them in. You know, you can if you start off with some haymakers, then later in your round or your comic set, you can have a longer joke that may or may not hit in front of a new crowd. But it's the same thing. Like Rum has established, and I'm not picking on him like anyone, but they've established a rapport. So you're already invested. So then when they land it, you like want to cheer them on. But they would say that, you know what I mean? And it's the land of the game. Like it's the game. Like for me, I'm like, I feel like most fans, when they talk about pen and writing, they aren't talking about pen and writing. They're talking about the person who they like. Punchlines. They like the person's performance and their status, their reputation in the game. You know what I mean? Because if you take some of these bars and you put it on somebody you don't like, you're gonna boo that. You know? Appetizer. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's stuff that rookies and top tiers, the top tiers could get away with that the rookies wouldn't be able to.
They won't be able to.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's interesting to look. Yeah, there's definitely some of those. There's a lot of those that like people will get away with, just because they've been here. And you described it perfectly. Like they've built the trust already with the fans. That all right, whatever he's saying, he's gonna. And like you said, what I try to do is make my first 2 rounds or so like that. So I'm building the trust that I'm leading up to something. So then the third, maybe I can have something that might have been a little more drawn out.
Yeah.
But like
I do the same thing.
But yeah, they already have
the trust.
They already have so they can just say whatever.
Yeah.
But
no,
it might be the fans. You're right.
It would. I feel like good writing. I don't know. I personally just feel like if I see tweets or whatever and people are talking about pen, they're probably a bad writer. If someone is like saying this is the best pen, this guy is his writing, I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna watch it and think they're a terrible writer because I understand writing. Right. Like you guys are just using the wrong technical terms, but
facts.
They could be the jaded nature, my jaded nature. You know what I mean? Because I also
real quick,
need a lot.
I got like 10% back.
Oh yeah.
So I got like a good, I think like 10 minutes at least. But
okay,
like,
no
just
problem, man.
If it cuts off, I'm not hanging up. My phone died.
Yeah, it's no problem, man. We can definitely wrap it up. I think there was one thing
we could hit
that wanted.
What else did you want to?
Real quick, a question I got on Discord, and they're actually in the chat right now. Kiralinka asked, "I'd love to hear Sikh's opinion on who he thinks the hardest South Asian rappers out are."
To be honest, I'm not really familiar with that scene. Like, I listen to like Punjabi music, but that's not really rapping. As far as like, I never like when people like mix languages in songs too much. So like, because for example, a Punjabi song it's a vibe, right? And then you got this like, because Punjabi is such a rough rough and tough language, I guess you could say. It's very like strong. That's what I feel when I hear that. And then if you get somebody rapping in English right after that, it kind of like throws the vibe off. You know what I mean? So I don't think I know too many. The people I do know are like people I've collaborated with. There's this cat named Noise in Canada. He's really dope. And then this dude he works with, his name is also B Magic, but it's Brown Magician. Not
Brown
I think B Magic Black B Magic battle rap one is like Black Magician, I think. But something like that. But so they're pretty dope. I'm trying to think who that's all that's coming to mind right now. But other than that, I don't really like I'm not too familiar with that scene. Like people that just rap that are just happen to be South Asian and then they rap too. You know what I mean? But like
no, that makes sense. And I think even on sort of to close it out on that general topic of, rappers and influence and in the spirit of current events, shit, the last couple of days, man, was like really, I don't know, like harder than I would have ever anticipated as far as like
Yeah,
losing DMX, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And I definitely just wanted to touch on that briefly. You know, did you come up listening? Like, first of all, like RIP DMX, like, you know,
Thanks.
one of the goats to me. And yeah, it was, I actually got like pretty crazy emotional last couple of days, but I
Yeah,
wanted to even, you know, give you the space, or did you, you know, did you come up listening? First, how old are you?
I'm 26.
26. Okay. And
Yeah, yeah.
just wondering, I'm like, damn, was it too,
I was
you
born in '94, so I did miss some of the. I had to go back for a lot of shit
mm-hmm,
because so I started rapping when I was like 8, so that was 2002,
mm-hmm,
and so when I really got into my hip hop history bag was like 2006. So I was what, 12 years old because I got introduced to LimeWire, and
yep,
I was going back and Cool G. I heard Cool G Rap's name. I'ma search him up. I heard Rakim's name. I'ma search him up.
mm-hmm,
I as I'm listening to 456 by Cool G Rap, he got a song called Fast Life with Nas. I've heard Nas before. Let me search up Nas. You
yep,
know what I mean? Like, and I was for a couple years from like 2006 to 2009. I didn't listen to anything current.
yeah,
I
you're
was
just
just
going
going
back.
back and just listening. So for DMX, yeah, DMX is one of the rappers that I feel like I put him and Jay-Z for me in the same like way that I interpreted them because I never got Jay-Z until I was older. For DMX, the only way I listened to him was just energy, and that's what I learned from him was energy, the growl in your voice. People sometimes tell me when I'm like projecting my voice, I sound like it reminds them of DMX or
Bruh,
whatever. But
earlier today watching some of your battles and shit, even leading
yeah,
up to this, I thought that. I was like, damn, yeah,
yeah,
there's a little bit of that
I
like
did,
guttural
yeah.
growl, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but like when I that's what I learned until I was like 18, 19, and I went back and listened to more of the shit and I was like the shit he was saying I kind of went back and listened to and realized like how crazy he was. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And the reason I said like Jay is because when I first heard Renegade at fucking 12 years old, I'm just hearing M flow crazy on the beat and oh, he got it. And then as I'm older and I'm like, it might have been 1-1 cuz like
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Cuz like
Mm-hmm.
the do not step to me. I'm all, as crazy as
Awkward
that
a box
sounded from
lefty.
Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Same.
the stomach rumbling, the shit he was saying that what might have not sounded so cool, but what it meant, like I learned to appreciate with age, right? So that's what I mean by DMX was
Yeah.
like in that for me
I
to
feel
where I really understood him the more older I got. Um,
mm-hmm.
but yeah, that growl, just the energy. I
Yeah.
remember his songs were shit since it happened. Since I found out, he was having health complications or whatever. Anytime I was in the gym, it was just DMX. And then I like you, I got emotional sometimes, especially the
Yeah.
day he passed. And I was like listening to the shit in the gym, just the way like you realize how his music makes you feel, and then it kind of clicked like, oh shit, he just passed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like,
And
yeah,
yeah, so
DMX definitely
many
a staple.
so many lyrics have like, you know, that the
Yeah,
self-awareness of like fighting, you know,
yeah,
slipping and you know, also the
amazing.
duality and things he was dealing with. For me,
Yeah.
like, bruh, I you know, when I was young and exposed to hip hop like through randomly, like early on,
Mm-hmm.
like grandma gave me like a tape, all this stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
I like kind of gravitated towards it. My uncle is only 11 years older than me. He was watching MTV, all saying Tupac's the best, blah blah blah, and
Mm-hmm.
showing me, and like that was my first favorite rapper. But it was like spoon fed to me, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
then once I became old enough to really like claim that music, I had some tapes like Spice One tapes and some West
Right,
Coast
right.
shit like Comrades and random
Uh-huh.
shit. But then like once I became old enough to own music and I got like my first CDs, I remember it's for Christmas when I was like 11 years old, right before I turned 12, Christmas, my like grandma and aunt, they bought me like 4 or 5 CDs. I had gave them on a list, you know, and one of those is my first CDs I ever owned, and one of them was, and I got like a Walkman that year, I want to say, but one of them was It's Dark and Hell Is Hot, and it was like, that was the one I got, like Tikal 2000, a Source compilation, a Rakim tape that I didn't appreciate till a couple years later when I did the same thing and went back. It was the 18th letter. It was just like the old school songs and then the new shit, double disc. But then and Life and Times Volume 2 or whatever, which I think it had Hard Knock on it. Or it was at 3.
Yeah, I think that was 2.
Okay,
yeah, 2,
but either way, like those were my first CDs that I owned that was like mine, and it felt like I was claiming my first favorite rapper, and it's probably because of the Pac influence that my uncle, it was like DMX. Pac was like my all time, but it was like, this is my first artist that I'm forging my identity with, that I discovered, and it was him, and the energy with Pac and every, you know, similarities in the passion and the self-awareness and everything. Like it was I don't know, it was tough, man, because that was right when I started rapping, like the biggest influences, you know what I mean? And then later I did the same thing where I went back and got into more underground stuff and went back and appreciated the Rakim tape, you know what I'm saying? Big Pun and Cool G and went from there. But like that, I mean, at that time, like DMX was, I'm pretty sure, headlining the Hard Knock Life tour. Like, wasn't it like Redman and Method Man and then Jay and DMX? Like, that fool was on top of the game, you know what I mean? But yeah, like definitely a huge influence, man. R.I.P. to the dog, you know.
R.I.P. man. Yeah, that's crazy. The craziest thing is, on Clubhouse, I was talking to this dude that, this is like days before we even found out he had health complications, and it was this dude that knew X, and he was just sharing funny stories about him. And I was like, it's crazy that like whenever something happens like this, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like you like, I don't know if that was like a warning or something, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's how I'll interpret it, or something to kind of just channel that energy of like, yo, I'm hearing all these crazy stories about X. Or like if you ever saw somebody's interview and then like a couple days later, another like big story breaks about them or something, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know like what that was, but that was just crazy to me that we were just talking about him. K-Shine and Lou Castro at Double Impact have this whole "Hey Big Dog" section, right? That's like famous. That's inspired by X. Like a whole bunch of that. It was just crazy. It was crazy.
I actually went and seen him in concert. The homie Carney got us tickets in April 4/20, 2019, and that was one of my favorite shows. Like, it was me, Chase, the homie Alf, and Carney, and he was fresh out, and he was in great shape. He killed it. Like, it was crazy energy. We went there kind of like, man, because, you know, we'd seen videos that came out, you know, of him not looking good, but he looked healthy. He absolutely destroyed his set, and that shit was like, that was crazy. It's one of my favorite shows I've been to. I said that at that time, and like, you know, I always remember that shit, and it's cool that at least there was that tour that happened, and then you know, there was the verses, and I feel like he has had a presence in the sort of like collective consciousness lately that was, you know, as people are saying, like giving him his flowers, you know, and that could even be a thing of like, you know, maybe there's some underlying energy of like knowing and wanting.
That's a good way to put it. Collective consciousness. That's what. Crazy. Yeah, R.I.P. to the legend, man.
Definitely, man.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, yo, I really appreciate your time, man. I don't want it to get cut off or anything. Yeah, bro. I'm going to holler at you and definitely be tuned in. Anything, realsickstore.com for the merch, hoodies, T-shirts, masks, everything. Is there any other, stuff. Where can they follow you at?
Yeah, Real Sick 99 on Instagram, Twitter, Caffeine, like all of that stuff. I'm planning to start streaming on Caffeine soon. My
Fire.
YouTube, just Real Sick. It's in my Twitter bio. I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna be dropping music and stuff on there. Pretty soon. I'm in the studio again. Until my next battle.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah. Stay tuned for that. New merch drops are gonna happen. I just started this shit like last Monday. So any suggestions or any of that, just send them through.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, battles coming up, music coming up, all of that stuff. Let me make sure I'm hashtag I stand with the farmers. Spread
Definitely.
that.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, man. Yeah, there we go.
Thank you
But I
so
guess
much
that's
for
it.
coming
Yeah.
on, bro. I definitely appreciate it. Like
Of
I
course,
said,
man.
yeah, we'll be putting it on YouTube and everything. So try to
Fire.
blast this out, bro. It's a great
Yeah.
conversation. That's why I wanted to sit with you too, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I got the vibe, and I'm like, I love battle rap, but
Yeah.
also love that we could talk about other shit, bro. So
Yeah.
thank you for your
Like
time
I
coming
said,
on here.
like I've told you, man, you're one of my favorites. So like this like just being on the show is crazy. You know what I mean? For me.
That's
So
what's
like
up, bro.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. You're a monster, bro. Get back in the ring and kill some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm hyped
man.
for that,
I'm
man.
definitely not
Yeah.
ritired, just waiting for
Yeah.
that moment, the right
Side
moment.
note, real quick, cause I know Nino Bless is like a mutual homie of ours. He
Hmm.
told me like, the story of how tough it was preparing for the Solomon battle for you. Mad respect for that, bro. Cause that's
Yeah. I
like
didn't.
last minute type shit.
Yeah, it was
Like
like
that
three
is
days. I started
crazy.
writing like 3 or 4 days. I was on tour,
Yeah.
and then started
Yeah.
thought I could write on tour, but it's
Yeah.
a whole different side of the brain. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, that shit is crazy. Cause you have one of my favorite those schemes you go into the bass pedal, ain't that you, ain't that you, like that type of shit is crazy to me. So yeah,
thank you, bro. I really
respect for
appreciate
that,
you.
bro.
Yeah, likewise, man. All right, bruh. Stay up. I'll definitely be tuned in, and we'll definitely get a song in at some point too. If you hear
That
anything,
would be amazing.
if you hear
Yeah,
anything you want to give me on, like my line's always open, bro. You can hit me anytime.
yeah, dope, man. Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
All right, bro.
I'm
Have a good one, man.
you too, bro.
Salute.